Hello, I'm Sumit Bose. Welcome to the Net Hero podcast. This special edition is part of our Big Zero Show briefings. Remember, get your tickets now for the Big Zero Show. The deadline is fast approaching, so you better book them now, 2nd and 3rd of July in Coventry. And what better way for us to sum up what it's all about than getting everyone involved? And that's what one of our speakers will be discussing, how even a big company can rely on its supply chain to get involved in the net zero journey. In this episode of the Big Zero Show briefings, the Net Zero conference we've got coming up, remember to get your tickets there. I'll be talking with Matteo Deidda, who is a senior sustainability manager for Lloyds Banking Group, and we're going to be talking about what Lloyds is doing to become more sustainable itself and the general picture about how supply chains are vital for that. Matteo, ciao, as they say in Italy.
Ciao, hi.
People have probably understood that the finance world is changing. And one of the things that's happened, and I know it's not your area, is that people are looking at how we would look at funding models in the future and measuring carbon. But organizations like yourselves, banking groups, have got to also change themselves. So what are you doing in that regard in terms of kind of your targets as an organization and how you're working with, because you've got loads of suppliers, I'm sure, across the board from all your IT and paperwork and whatever. How are you trying to progress what you're doing to bring those people with you?
First of all, thank you so much for having me today.
Pleasure.
And you're right. Financial institutions are at the core of the transition towards a greener future. But as a financial institution, we have a big impact in terms of the emissions that we finance and our broader Scope 3 category 15. Then there is a lot that we can do and we must do as well when it comes to our direct operations, so our Scope 1 and Scope 2 and the buildings and the colleagues, etc., and of course, our supply chain. We've got thousands of suppliers that work within the Lloyds Banking Group ecosystem, etc. And of course, our supply chain. We've got thousands of suppliers that work within the Lloyds Banking Group ecosystem. And we've also got quite a tough target to achieve, which is 50% reduction in supply chain carbon emission by 2030 and on a path towards net zero by 2050. And overall, we go by one general rule, which is we're not asking anyone to do anything that we're not doing ourselves, and that is really the starting point for the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you take a big organization, 6 years will go in a blink of an eye. There's a lot to do. What do you think? Because I think, people can sometimes get overwhelmed. There's so much to do, I won't do anything. And if you're a small company supplying someone like you, they might be thinking, oh my gosh, my contract, I don't know where to start. So you've got two roles, one to lead from your own organization point, and two, to help those who supply you. So what are you doing on those two sides? First of all, as an organization yourself, when you go in, what are you doing to try and make sure, is it the simple stuff? Is it like the LED lighting, heat pumps, or is it as simple as kind of, hey, just turn the lights off? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think every organization is on the journey. Someone is more advanced, someone is just starting out, and that's okay. So there isn't really an organization that have got all the answers in their pocket. Everyone is trying their best. And I think that from a supply chain perspective, we recognize that. And I'll tell you a little bit more in a second in terms of what we're doing from that perspective. But also, you're right, we've got lots of buildings and we've got lots of colleagues. So making sure that we're in a position to advance on those it's essential, because finally that's what we're asking then our suppliers and our customers to do. So starting point is often the easy one, like LED lighting, energy efficiency, but also we've got a massive program to remove gas from our estate. So installing heat pumps, electric heating, smart building management system. There is like really a huge amount of work that is going on across our own estate. And then from a supplier perspective, I think that our main engagement tool with suppliers is called the Emerald Standard, which I'm going to talk more at the event. But the Emerald Standard is really there to help guiding those suppliers that are just starting out on understanding what the goal may be. And then also recognize those that are more advanced in the journey. So really give them credit for the work that they've already done.
It's tricky for companies that want to supply bigger companies because obviously when you're small, you are probably not as sophisticated and you certainly probably haven't got anywhere near your own carbon footprint. They need help. So what you're doing with your standard, it's probably easy. You work with a big company who's one of the big suppliers for you. They'll have their own carbon. They've probably got ESOS. They've got all of that stuff. So they're easy for you to deal with. How do you help the smaller ones? Because I'm sure that's part of what you need to do as well. As a big organization, you need to lead. So we won't talk exactly what you're doing with the Emerald Stand, but is there a way that you can bring those smaller people with you rather than say, well, actually, you're just not doing enough for us. We go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, every supplier has got his own challenges, and they can be helped in a different way. And I think that is really what we recognize. And we talk directly to over 150 suppliers every year, specifically about their journey to understand what the challenges are, what is a bit of a headache for them, why they're not doing certain things. Because usually what I find is that organization and people in general want to do the right thing. And sometimes there is like a blocker why they cannot do it. It may be cost, it may be lack of knowledge, it may be that nobody asked them, it may be that they don't really know where to look. So that is really the position that we take when we talk to the supplier. We're there to help them. It may be sharing know-how. We organize an annual sustainability supplier summit where we invite all our key suppliers so that they can share between them what is going on, how they can help each other, common challenges. So we're really trying to create that sense of a common journey between all our suppliers. And we're not just there asking to achieving all this stuff. We're really there to understand what they're doing, what are they planning, and how we can help them, really.
We're looking forward to seeing you. You said it earlier before we start recording. It's a sustainability in Coventry. Why wouldn't I go? It's up the road. So we're very glad you're coming. But I hope you'll get a lot out of talking to people. But also it's a very good area for people to come and talk to you, other peers, to learn. And I think that's a good thing. Hopefully you agree.
100%. And look, especially when it comes to scope 3 supply chain, everyone are sort of trying to understand what is the best way forward. Nobody has got all the answers in the pocket. And you said earlier, where do you start? And usually my answer is just start. Really, just start somewhere. And nobody's perfect on this journey, far from it.
Brilliant. Well, look, I will see you in July. Thank you very much for coming along and speaking. I'm sure it'll be a really interesting talk, Matteo.
That's brilliant, and looking forward to see you all.
You've just heard the Net Hero podcast from futurenetzero.com. Join us as we help you find ways to cut your carbon footprint as we head towards net zero. Subscribe and follow us on social media. futurenetzero.com. Better business, better planet.